Alright, next up we're going to use some Angelus brown leather dye. I've got 4 different versions of the brown leather dye that we're going to use today. I've got regular brown, light brown, medium brown, and dark brown. I've got my figured piece and my plain piece, and I've got 4 different rags here. And we're not going to dilute any of these, we're just going to apply them straight on. So we're going to start out with the light brown and apply that first. Light brown looks really nice going on. We'll put 2 coats on again. Two coats is sort of my way of evening out the coats, making sure I've got everything level. So that was light brown. I think we'll do medium brown next here. And that's pretty wild. It's lighter than the light brown. I have to say the medium brown is probably the lightest brown. That's pretty odd. Then we'll go to brown next. It's weird as brown looks sort of yellow. Pour this on a little bit thicker. Do 2 coats of this. Well, that's wild. Light brown is the darkest so far. And then now we'll go to dark brown. I've used this a number of times, and even putting it on the rag, you can see how much darker it is. So when you're doing the sanding back methodology, I would definitely use brown on some of those woods. The dark brown on some of those woods, you'll get the most figure to pop because it's the darkest, it'll seep in the most. It's really odd. So the dark brown is obviously the darkest, and then brown and light brown are more orange, which is really odd, and then light brown is actually a version of sort of the dark brown. For me, what I do here, I would definitely stick to the light brown and brown, or dark brown. I know I'll get the best results out of this. The brown and the medium brown look very similar, but the light brown and the dark brown, sort of the half version that I was using before. So that's 2 full coats. Really think the brown and the medium brown are the same. They may have switched colors along the lines at some point. So what we'll do is we'll let this sit for 24 hours. We'll come back tomorrow morning and we'll sand this down and see what happens. Really love the dark brown on the flame maple and the light brown. On this sort of medium brown and light brown look more, or medium brown and brown look more orange. So we'll let this sit and see what it says. Alright, so we let the dye dry, and the brown and the medium brown I think are essentially the same. I must have bought before they labeled it. But then the light brown and the dark brown, this looks like, the light brown looks like it's reduced from that without having any of the sort of neutral splotchiness that I've seen in some of the other dyes. So if you were going to buy dyes, I would go with the dark brown and light brown. And I don't know if I'd use the medium at all, or the brown. I don't like the way that looks, to be quite honest. But we'll sand this back and see what it looks like once we sand. Alright, so we've got some naphtha here. We're going to go ahead and apply this to the different pieces of wood. We'll start on the figured board. The light brown, the medium brown, and brown. Sort of similar. This is definitely more orange. This is definitely lighter. And what's interesting is how dark the dark brown is still. Really like that color. This is what I would be using as a base when I'm going to be sanding back, is the dark brown versus any of these. I think if you're using a lot of veneer and you want a lighter color to start, I would do the light brown and then your yellow or red on top of that. Because if you sand back on veneer, you're going to get a mess. And with this dark brown, I don't think you'd ever get that out of the veneer without sanding way too much wood off. So if we go to the plain piece, again looking really orange on the medium and the brown. The light brown looks interesting. The dark brown on the plain piece actually looks like a barnwood almost. Surprised at how different and how dark that brown is. There must be a lot more pigment obviously in it than anything else. That's cool. It's good to see all the different colors on a piece of wood. Now you know what dark brown looks like, light brown, and medium brown. So thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you in the next vid.